morning, everybody. Craig Ripley here. Welcome to Living Off the Slab. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. We are up here at, well, about the ass crack of dawn, and we're heading out on a 500-mile day on our new adventure touring bikes. That is myself and a couple other guys are planning on going to Alaska. There they are, right over there. That's Steve and Peter. They're a little camera shy, so they're going to have to get used to it, though, if they're going to ride with me. So, but anyway, we're about to head out here, just head up the highway, said for about 260 miles or so one way, and then back again, just to get used to riding these bikes for the kind of distances every day that we're going to have to do to make it to Alaska. So I'll let you know how it goes along the way.
I don't think so. 2.9 miles to Green River Road, I think so. Yeah, it does smell good.
Okay, so we made it up here, 248.7 miles to Jericho, Vermont. Nice ride, weather's warming up. So we're going to go in here and grab something to eat and then get back on the road and finish our 500-mile day. All right, so after nearly 500 miles, we're at 450 miles or so. I know my butt's a little sore. Let me see what these guys think.
So, gentlemen, what do you think? 500 miles? Can we do it 30 days in a row?
Ooh, yeah, we can do it, but boy, I'll tell you, after 300 miles, what's so?
I think 400 is a better goal.
Just take it down to
At
400.
400, the sciatica kicks in. You know, at 500, well, it's time for a yoga lesson.
All right, well, we'll see. We're going to need some more practice, I think.
Maybe after a few more practices, we'll get
maybe a better seat. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's definitely doable. I'm not tired. It's just my derriere.
Yeah, it does start to get to you after a while.
Yeah.
And first time we've really done it in this position too. You know,
It's different. It's different than the cruises. You know, the cruises are definitely.
yeah, it's like sitting in your chair at home, your lounge chair at home.
The vision is like sitting in a recliner.
Yeah.
That gets tiring after 500 miles too, though.
Yeah, but the floorboards are so big, you can move around a lot.
I think putting the highway pegs on is a good idea.
That did help.
I think that'll help.
Oh yes, Peter got some highway pegs over here.
So anyway, the bottom line is we're not discouraged from doing this, right? We're going to keep going.
Ready to go.
We're ready to go. Alaska next July 2017, right? All right, so here I am back from that 517-mile day. We were out trying to figure out what is a reasonable distance to do on these adventure touring bikes. Now, if you remember, myself and the other guys that I'm going to be riding with up to Alaska next year, we all come from the cruiser world. So this year preceding our trip is all about learning to ride this different genre of motorcycles. Right? We're used to doing 600, maybe 700-mile days, but doing that from a bike that is extremely comfortable, much more comfortable than these bikes are, that have a lot of room that you can move your legs around all over the place. You can change positions very easily. They have a big fairing on them with a lot of wind management. So these bikes here are quite different for us. Those of you who have been doing this for a lot longer of a time probably think that this is funny, and I understand that, but for us this is all new. So this is about documenting our experience on how we're moving over to this kind of riding. So one of the big things that we need to figure out is how far we can go each day on these bikes. And how far do we have to go? Like if we're going to get up to Alaska, and it's 5,500 miles from the Boston area here to get up to Alaska, You know, if we're going to do it in a couple of weeks, well, do the math. I mean, we've got to average somewhere around 500 miles, 400 to 500 miles a day, right? And those can be exhausting days when you're doing them 14 in a row, and then you got to turn around and come back home. So we've got 30 days plus of having to do these big long rides. Is it really doable? Right? That's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out what kind of mileage is really doable and still be able to enjoy the trip, right? Because that's key here. We don't want to just go out and blast a bunch of miles out and not see anything and not enjoy the trip, right? This is about experiencing the landscape, experiencing the people, experiencing the cuisines and everything that this trip is going to have to offer. So that's what we're doing these things for. We want to figure out what is really reasonable and doable on these kind of motorcycles. All right, so the first thing we learned was that 500 miles on these bikes is absolutely doable, right? Can we do it day after day after day? Yeah, I think we can. We just have to learn how to pace ourselves, essentially. And I think we'll be just fine. So the second thing I learned is that I need to learn how to relax more on this bike. I was getting a little bit of tension across my shoulders and down my arms, you know, after we were approaching 400 plus miles on the bike. And I think a lot of that has to do with probably tensing myself and holding my arms up more. I just need to really concentrate on relaxing, letting those shoulders go while I'm riding. And I think that'll alleviate a lot of that neck tension. Third thing that I learned was I'm gonna have to do something else about this seat. You know, I went out and I bought the Saddleman touring saddle for the Super Tenere, and it is much better than the stock version. However, I'm still getting some discomfort in the back of my legs while we're riding. In particular, this seat right here has a little bit more of a bump out than the stock seat. So after a long day of my legs hanging down here, that's kind of digging into the back of my legs. So I'm going to have to figure out something to do about that. I don't know if it's buying some kind of product with maybe a little pad behind the legs. I know that Moto Skivvies, for example, makes something that is designed for that. Maybe I'll have to give that a try. People have suggested putting an AirHawk seat on here, but I honestly don't know that that's going to cover the place that I need it to cover. Also, I don't want to make the seat any taller. I'm a 5'9" guy, don't have a long inseam, so I don't really want to go up any higher. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about either taking this seat or my stock seat or both to a local upholsterer here who specializes in motorcycle seats, and seeing if we can't maybe trim down some of the foam to make it a little bit more of a gradual kind of hump right here, or put in some different kind of foam. I don't know. I'm open to it and I'm willing to spend the money on it. I mean, this seat costs, I think, $365, and I'd hate to have to spend it again, but to be comfortable on the bike, I think I'd be willing to. As you can see right here, this is kind of where the seat kind of bulges out right here. And if I'm sitting on it just right over a long day, then this kind of gets to me right behind my thighs. The rest of the seat is really comfortable. I mean, the gel is good, the stiffness is good. It's just that little bulge, I think, that's given me some kind of problem that I might have to have addressed. All right, next thing we learned is that we're going to need to have some way to recharge our electronic devices, and particularly our communication devices, while we're out there on the road. This ride ended up taking us about 11 hours, and at the end of the day, our communication devices were going to bed on us. Particularly one of the guys, his lost power really early and he had to drop off. So we want to keep those going. So you notice I got this SW Motec tank bag here. I just wanted a small one just so I can keep my glasses, my wallet and other kinds of things that I need close at hand in there. But I think what I'm going to do is pull a wire up and I'm going to electrify this so that we can charge our devices while we're out there on the road. So since I mentioned how long this trip took, which was about 11 hours for this day, That's something else we're going to have to consider, right? Not just the distance that we have to travel, but the time that it took to travel. I mean, we did get off the main highways a couple of times here, so that definitely slowed us down. We could probably cut an hour, maybe an hour and a half off of the time that it took. But doing 500 miles does take some time. So probably a good at least 10 hours every day that you'll be out there on the road. So that means you've got to get up early, especially if you want to get to camp early, because remember, we're going to be camping and we have to have time to set all of our tents and other camping equipment up before it gets dark. The last thing I want to do is roll in there at 7 o'clock every day and have to rush to set up camp. I want to be done by the end of the day by 4:30, 5 o'clock at the latest, so we can go in, set up our camp, and then get something to eat and, you know, relax for the evening and enjoy the campground wherever we're going to be staying. I don't want to be just rushing in, setting up, go to sleep, get up and leave again every day. That does not sound enjoyable to me. So we're going to have to figure out distances that's going to allow us to do that. And the last thing I'm going to mention here is not something we really learned on this trip. This is something that I know I've been doing personally ever since I started touring on the motorcycle. And that is that we stop every 100 miles, 120 miles, something like that, just so that we can get off the bike, stretch our legs for 5 or 10 minutes, kind of refresh ourselves before we get back on again. And that's what we were doing on this trip as well. We would break it up into 100-mile segments and again, just stop, make sure we're getting some water, staying hydrated, make sure if we need to get something to eat, we do, walk around, get the blood flow back in our butts, and then head back out on the road again. And it doesn't take long, 5 or 10 minutes, and you're all set. Okay, so I think that's about it for this video. That's about everything that we really learned from this trip, which I think is actually a lot. You know, mainly we're learning about ourselves as well as our bikes. So we're getting psyched about this. The more that we do, the more we are enthusiastic about hitting the road and heading up to Alaska, and we're really looking forward to seeing the scenery and so forth. And in fact, while we were riding up in Vermont this weekend, because that's where we went once again to do this ride, we were looking at the mountains and seeing how beautiful they were and just imagining the kind of sights that we're going to see as we're heading up through BC, heading up into Alaska. So we're looking forward to it, getting excited about it. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.